Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to show you how to install whips. So over the past couple of years, whips have become immensely popular for the side-by-side application. If you don't know what a whip is, it's basically just LEDs wrapped around a bar that are programmable and can show many different colors. So the one I have in my hand is a 4-foot one. We went with Mylar Light Bars FX whips. I'll put a link down in the description to these. To install them, you will also need to purchase a switch, as well as some 16 gauge wire and some heat shrink tubing to make this work. So let's get started. So the first step in installing the whips is deciding where you want to place them. There's several different places you can go, but we decided to go where the flag holes are because there's one on each side and it's very easy to get to. So the first step to get into those is removing the bumper. There's 7 screws that are T40s, and once you remove that, this will drop out of the way and open it all up. So the location of those screws are pretty easy to find. You have one right here, one down here, one up by the flagpole, one right in the center, and then it mimics it on this side. One by the pole, down here, and up here. Now that the bumper's off, we can install the mounting points for the whips. So from here, since we're using the flagpole, we can come under here, and you have a washer and a lock washer, and the nut that holds it nice and tight. We did the same thing on this side, through here, and then now we can run the cable. So we started by the cable sitting down in there, and that cable will run through this hole, around and down. It will then zip tie to this row bar. It follows back around the tube here, and it follows the rest of the wires that we have back through here. From here, it will then come down and continue following the wire looms all the way to the back of the cab. I know it's kind of hard to see, but once you're in here, you'll see the other wire looms, and all we did was zip tied to it. And then from here, the back of the cab will have a small opening to go underneath the seats. Now before we can install the toggle switch to our wires, we first need to run the toggle into the dashboard. So the first step on that part is to take off the hood, and then taking our T40 from before, we have 2 screws. Now that those are out, the dashboard just pushes off. Just make sure when you push it off that you keep it relatively close to the original position, because all the wires are still connected to it and you don't want to pull those out. Once the dashboard is removed, you can cut the hole for your toggle switch. Now we already had our hole cut because we had something else here, but if you check out the Rugged Radio install video, you will see how to cut this out. It's very simple. On the back side, there's going to be marks for you to cut through, and we just use a utility knife to cut it out. So we will go ahead and install the plug, and then we will connect the wires up, and we will be good to go. Now that you have your hole in your dashboard cut, the last part is to get the switch ready to go. So here we have is a lighted whip switch. I'll put a link in the description on where you can buy this. But when it comes, these wires you will need to attach onto here. They give you a nice diagram on how it goes together. It's nothing hard. The top is your ground, and you loop it together. The bottom 3 are your power. So you got this one that's standalone, that's your power to the whips. And then you have this one looping over to the top one, which goes to your battery. So if you can't see this real clear, don't worry about it. There is a diagram with them. But from here, you got to run a ground to your battery or any grounding point you're using at the moment. And all you do is take a wire, put a female end on it and connect it here. Then you need to take a ground or a power wire to your power source or your battery, connect a female end to it, connect it onto here, and then the power cable coming from your whips, connect a female end onto it and connect it here. That would wire up your switch and you're ready to go on this side. The only thing left is you will have a ground from the whips that you need to ground to either a frame or the battery as well, and your whips are wired up and you're ready to go. Now we're on the inside of the cab. This driver's seat has been removed, and so is the center console. If you don't know how to remove the center console, you can check out my video on the rugged radio install, and I'll show you how to remove that. On the inside here, you can see this hole. This is the hole that once you remove the center console will allow you to run your wires for the whips through. Here's our end of our wire we just ran with the fuse, and the end of the wires that we need to connect the switch to. These wires will ultimately run up underneath here, and they will follow the rest of the wiring looms that are already inside from the rugged radio install. And we will just zip tie this to those existing wires, which run down under the console all the way underneath through the middle, and will actually go on the outside of the vehicle up through and through the firewall. So that's the basic installation of whip lights. It wasn't too hard, takes about an hour. So what you did first, you took the rear bumper off and you mounted the whips. Then you ran the wire with the rest of the wiring looms up into your center console. From there you cut the hole in the dash for the switch. And the last step was to wire the switch to your remaining wires from your whips. After that, all you gotta do is put the vehicle back together and you're ready to go.